Hi guys, I'm here to talk to you today about defining your online goals as you move with establishing your compelling digital brand. And then the next thing you want to do is to make sure that you establish the online goals that you want to achieve when you're building your brand and you're moving your target market from connections over to relationships. So we're going to talk today about establishing your KPIs and how you're going to measure them. So I always talk about getting off of the hamster wheel of life and making sure that you have a mission statement, right? That's the number one thing. And let's talk a little bit, not just about personal mission statements, but your business or your business plan. And we're going to relate that to a mission statement. So on my vision board, which I have behind the camera, I have a statement that says, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So I would even go as far as saying that a goal without a plan is actually a pipe dream. So what's the difference? Pipe dream is like a fantasy, right? It's something that you say you're going to do, you're going to do, you're going to do. Somebody maybe repeats it over and over again, and they think that if they dream and they state it long enough that there's just going to be someone like my friend Frida the Llamacorn, which we have a little picture of her there, show up at your doorstep and just say, poof, here's your dream or fantasy that you've been dreaming about forever, but not actually ever putting the step place for how you're to achieve that. We're going to match our online goals with something called a buyer's journey. Hopefully everybody has some buyer in mind. If you're looking for a new job, that buyer would be an employer. If you're selling something, right, it's the buyer that's going to buy your product or service. We're going to set our objectives or our online goals in line with those of your buyer. Because if you're in business, you're looking for positive gain, right? The first objective that you would talk about when defining your online would be to create awareness around your brand. On social media, how would you do that? How would you create awareness to expose your target market to your service or your brand? Most likely that's going to be through posts and promotions that you're doing. Examples of building awareness could be a blog post. It could maybe be a video like what I'm making now. You're trying to let people know you exist, what you stand for, what you stand against, some of the things we talked about in our branding. You want to just communicate that to your target market. Maybe you're making an infographic. Those are all items that you would create, content that would build awareness for your brand. And then how are you going to measure that, right? Just because you create it and you throw it out to the world, what are you going to do to measure whether it's actually helping you move you to your goal, which would be a sale or a conversion, right? How many people actually watched your video or watched or downloaded your blog post or visited your website? Those are things that you would measure. Those are what we call key performance indicators or objectives. That's what you're going to measure. And then how does that make an impact in your business? Well, it actually is creating market share for you, right? So your people didn't know you existed before. Now you're creating awareness, and now maybe they like to watch your videos or read your blog post versus somebody else. So they're choosing you over the competition, and you're creating some type of top of mind awareness. Consistency is really important when you're doing this as well, because you just want to make sure that they're expecting you. They're expecting that blog post every month or every week, and they want to find the new information to make sure it's relevant to what they are wanting, and it's engaging, valuable content for them. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is consideration. So when your prospect or customers have reached the consideration stage, they have more complete understanding about their problem, right? So we've talked before about the pyramid, where there's only 3% of those buyers that actually know they have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution. Those are the people that just buy like that. So the other 97% of the people are the ones that we're working on. Now that they are aware of your brand, you're generating demand for them, right? So they've identified the true solution to their problem, but now they're looking at all the options that are available. Prospects are not quite ready to buy when they're in this consideration point. They still need to help decide on how to resolve their issues. I'm going to actually create this this chart that I've created, or the graph, we'll say, created in a downloadable infographic for you. So in the consideration phase, we're going to generate demand for your product or service. How are we going to do that? What's your social media strategy for that? You're going to generate engagement, right, with your target audience and with your brand content. So let's say on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it is, you're dropping some information, and you don't want to just drop that information and then run away. You want to engage your audience. If they're asking questions, you want to answer them. You want to make sure to be attentive to it. If you don't have time, have a team member make sure that they are looking at it. And so you're actually putting information out there, and you're trying to see how many people are actually going to engage with that valuable content. And so the social activity would be the posts or the responses that you're receiving for that information. What are you going to measure? So your online KPIs, again, you're going to measure the number of engagements. You're going to measure the type of engagement. Was it just a thumbs up? Was it an applause? Was it a share? Like, what did they actually do with your information? You're going to want to make sure that you identify and measure the objective that you have for the types of engagement that will actually lead to whatever business impact it is that you're looking for with it in this buyer journey. We're generating demand for your service, right? So it could be you're driving people to your website. You're looking for visitors or traffic on your Twitter or Instagram or your website. So those are the different things that you're going to do, whatever it was, to measure the business impact. Those all would be in this generating demand, buyer consideration phase. So now we've talked about awareness. Second, we've talked about consideration. Thirdly, we're going to talk about decision making. So when your buyer is on their journey and they're at the decision making phase, we really want to drive conversion. So you want to drive your target audience to whatever offer it is that you have. So it could be a small funnel step, right? We're getting people down in the funnel. So maybe it is you just want to get them on the phone with you, or you want them to download your checklist, whatever it is, you're driving it to your offer that you're doing. So how are you going to do that with social activity? You're going to create maybe a promotion to actually push them over the edge, to just get them to take that next step. You might have a link, and so you are taking them from a post to a MailChimp landing page or just a regular landing page. That's how they're moving through your funnel. So then, as far as our KPIs go, we're going to measure the number of downloads or measure the number of clicks to your link. Those are all objectives and specific steps that you can measure to find out how your content is doing at moving your buyer through their journey, making sure that it's going to be you they choose at the end. The business impact that this level of decision making would be conversions. So maybe they actually make a purchase, or you get a lead, they say contact me, or they downloaded your checklist or ebook or guide or tip sheet. So now you have a lead in your email that you can now start marketing to through email marketing. So those are the business impacts that it's going to have. And you were measuring the clicks or the links that got them to that impact. The number 4 things that we're talking about is acceptance. So some people call it acceptance, some people call it adoption. So actually they've now made a purchase, or they've made that next step, and you're here to just make those customers super happy. So you're exceeding their expectations in this step along the buyer's journey. So you're driving more engagement with them. Maybe you're asking them to join your Facebook group or join your LinkedIn group or do something. So they've shown that they're interested in you. They've identified their problem or their concern. They've identified that your solution is a match for what it is that they're looking for. And now they've ultimately decided to make a purchase or add to your subscription. And so now they're actively engaging with you, right? What kind of response and feedback are you going to get from them? Like, that's the social activity you're looking for. You want positive responses where they're going to create social proof for you on your social media pages, whatever platform it is that you're choosing to promote or to work with, that's where you want them to start giving feedback. And so what social KPI are we going to measure in this buyer stage? Well, we're going to want to measure the number of positive comments. Maybe you're looking for reviews. Maybe it's a Yelp review, or on Facebook, maybe they're going to make a recommendation for you or leave a testimonial. If you're using LinkedIn, you're going to look for somebody to write a recommendation for you. So those are positive feedback, right? That's going to provide positive social proof for others that are yet to come, that they know that these are living, breathing people that they could actually ask, as a reference, how did you like this? What did you get from it? So the things that you would measure are the actual positive responses, or if it's negative, you want to measure that as well. But those are the KPIs that you're going to measure in this buyer stage. And the business impact that it has is the opinion, right? And the satisfaction that you know that you're building your products to actually serve the needs of your target market. And you really need to listen, right? If your people are not having positive opinion or something's wrong with those testimonials, then you really need to listen, and you need to build it to meet the needs of your target market. Last thing we're going to talk about is community. So on the buyer stage, awareness, where you're talking about consideration, decision making, acceptance, and the last thing is community or advocacy. So that's such a big word. So I'm using the word community. So I've made a video before where we're here not just to have a one-trick pony or one transaction. We actually want to create a whole village of raving fans, because we're creating a compelling brand, right? A compelling digital brand. So you want to create raving fans, people that are going to comment on everything you put in your social media post. They follow you. They actually show up to your Facebook Lives, right? Those are the people that you're trying to bring with you. You're speaking their language. When you've done all your research, you understand what it is they need, and the words that you use are intentional because your target market and your community, they think you are the cat's meow. That's when you're now creating influencers, where influencers, that's your social media strategy for this phase of the buyer's journey, is that you want to find customers who actually are going to state something on social media and influence their sphere of influence. So they're going to say, hey, you know what? Catherine Evans is so awesome. She helped me with this issue. I didn't know I had this mindset issue. After I worked with her, I was able to break through that, and I can't even believe that I had that one simple problem that she was able to help me with. You guys need to work with her. She's awesome. Or maybe you have some other thing. Maybe you're like my client and cousin April, who makes these wonderful eyelashes, and people were like, oh my gosh, I used these other eyelashes before and they caused issues with my eyes, and the technician was horrible and I had infections. But after I went to this person, they were just awesome. And I love working with this person. You need to go see her, right? So now you've created this community of people that are actively engaged with your brand. They're interested in what you're doing, and they're going to be people that are leaving testimonials and influencing other people to make a positive buying decision for you. So what kind of posts are we going to do for social activity? These are just additional social proofs and testimonials and different things. So your social activity for this last buyer journey step would be outreach to other influencers to make a positive comment about you. How are you going to measure that? You're going to measure that with social KPIs of impressions, right? So, there's different algorithms. For example, on LinkedIn, if you put a post on LinkedIn and in the first 10 minutes people are liking, commenting, sharing, and pushing it out, the algorithm is going to pick that up, and it's going to continue to put it in front of people over and over and over again. So that would be an earned impression, that instead of a purchased impression like a Facebook ad or a Facebook boost, those are paid impressions. These are earned impressions that you're getting organically through your audience and through your target market for sharing your information. So you can actually measure that, right, through a KPI. of social sharing of your content. And the business impact that that's going to have for you is that you're going to get more referrals, which is more business. Influencer activity, like somebody might pick it up. Maybe something that you write goes viral, right? So that's what you want. Or a mention, maybe you wrote a blog post and your blog post is what somebody references in their writing. Those are things that have a positive business impact and you can measure it. That might be a KPI you set for 2020. Word of mouth, customer loyalty, those are all positive business impacts. Let me just recap for you again the 5 steps, or the 5, let's just call them buckets, right, that we're going to have. First one again is awareness, for brand awareness, service awareness. The second one is consideration, where you're generating demand for your product or service. The third one is decision, where the customer is comparing what you have to offer next to their needs and then next to the competitors, so they're actually making the decision. The acceptance is that they've accepted what you've done. It's awesome. You've exceeded their expectations. And then the last one is that community and that advocacy, where you're building influencers that are going to help take your brand to the next level. So I hope that information is great. I'll wrap it all up in a blog post. Thank you to the team of people that have been supporting me. This year, it takes a lot of people to put systems in place to help actually build any type of business, especially when you're working full-time and you're trying to build some type of business in addition. So Crystal, I want to thank you so much for everything you've done. I want to thank Laura as well. The videos, and if you guys haven't visited my YouTube channel, the videos that we create are not my doing. They're done by Laura. And then I have my team of appointment setters. Raphael, I want to thank you when you watch this for everything you've done this year. You're amazing. When I get on the phone with them, they say, oh my gosh, I had this great conversation with Raphael. He's just awesome. So having people that support you can positively impact your brand. And Michelle, who manages my back office, I want to thank her so much as well. And then all of you for being, I hope, raving fans and listening to the information that I'm giving you, which will ultimately end up in my book. Thanks again for watching how to set your online goals and the KPIs that you can measure when you're looking to establish your online presence. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great day.